Respawn Entertainment, a developer that was formed by OG Call of Duty developers. And in 2013, at the E3, they teased Titanfall 1. From that moment on, it was immediately critically acclaimed and received, from Metascores to reviewers like IGN, for example, nothing but good reviews. It stacked up between the 38 from 100 or 8.3 from a 10, all the way up to 10 out of 10s, and got tons of awards. I think about 30 or something like that. And the game was released eventually on March 11, 2014. And it was pretty quickly deemed as a system seller for the Xbox One, and the 360 was released as well, and on the PC. But it was especially by IGN, Microsoft, and The Verge claimed as a reason to buy an Xbox One. It wasn't released on PlayStation, so it was really a system seller. From the first moment, it got a lot of attention, and the reason was it had no microtransactions, and at the time that was already a thing. It had no battle pass, a fantastic progression system, somewhat of a flawed single-player campaign. I think that depends on who you ask it, but I also think that the single-player campaign wasn't the best it could be. And eventually, although there was post-release content, it did have some... Well, the content wasn't always optimal, and on the other side, there were some technical issues in frame rate drops, resolution, especially on the consoles, Xbox 360 and Xbox One at the time, PC being the better platform at the time to play it. But overall, the general consensus was that this game has something in its core. When the issues would be fixed in a further release or in a new release, then we actually had, at the time, as we already called it, a possible Call of Duty killer. Now, right in 2014, it was already announced that a Part 2 is already in development for Titanfall, and in 2016, Titanfall 2 released. The only downside this game had, is that it released between Battlefield 1, which was also an EA title, just like Titanfall, and Call of Duty. I think it was Infinite Warfare. So you can say a lot about Battlefield and Call of Duty, and there is a lot of criticism, especially on Call of Duty, but you were releasing between two AAA titles that had huge marketing budgets to get this game under attention. So that was actually the only flaw, and my question is still what role EA played in this part, because if they would have chosen another date, this game would have got way more attention than it got now, and also the attention it deserved, because Titanfall 2 is, to date, still one of the best games that you can play at this point as a multiplayer. I'm currently a bit fed up with Call of Duty, and yes, I will play Modern Warfare 3 because I want to review it, I want to have a look at it. As you can see from the followers, I'm not making any money out of it, but in its core, I'm a big Call of Duty fan, so I'm going to play it, I'm going to review it. I have my doubts, so I am looking for that single player and also that multiplayer experience that I'm looking for in an online shooter, in a first-person shooter. And I haven't played it for a while, so just recently I started it up again. And man, it feels right at home, because let's face it, how could this not be not cool? Come on, just grappling from one side to another side, turning around, shooting someone in the head with a headshot. When you're done with that, you grapple back and you kick someone in the head. You climb on Titans to get energy cells, put grenades in there, and then you decide to go into your Titan to do your own kill cam with your Titan. And just look at this clip. How can this not be cool? It is fast-paced. It is extremely polished. The servers are up, and it's pretty full as well. You don't have any trouble to getting into a game, because there is a very, very solid, passionate community behind Titanfall 2. and the gameplay is rock solid, but you don't have any microtransactions, you don't have a battle pass, but you have a fantastic progression system on your Titan, on your pilot, on your weapons, and actually you don't have to buy anything in this game because you can progress and unlock everything just with earning credits in game. The more you play, the more credits you get, and eventually the more you can buy for whatever you want. You unlock attachments, you have a progression system also on the faction that you're in. So there is so much to do in a very natural way, and this is all presented with an extremely rock solid experience in terms of gameplay. And I don't see any reason why you shouldn't install this game and give it a try if you haven't done so yet. So to have a bit of a talk about what the core of the game also brought with it. So at E3 2016, Respawn announced that all updates and all downloadable content would be free for all players. And inspired by Evolve's free maps model, the team hoped that this approach would actually draw in more players because all the other mastodons had those seasons and those downloadable contents that were all priced for actually premium pricing. And just I've got an overview here of what they released from 2016 onwards. So they started with the core game, of course, but Angel City's Most Wanted, which remastered or remade actually the most fan favorite map from Titanfall 1 and added new weapons to it, and also animations, execution animations for Titans and kids and also for pilots. Colony Reborn was around in about 6 months later, which was also a remake of a fan favorite map, which was all free for everyone. It added an R101 carbine and execution animations and cosmetics, of course, as well, which can also be unlocked just by playing the game and not paying for it. Then you got April 25, 2070, A Glitch in the Frontier, included 2 maps named Glitch and Dak, which is a map dedicated to the live fire mode, and the DLC also included several gameplay adjustments. Monarch's Reign, just 6 months later, introduced the Monarch Titan, so you got a new Titan added to it as well, which belonged to the Vanguard class, as well as new Titan skins, Relic, a map from Titanfall 1, which was also remastered and included in the package. Operation Frontier Shield included a cooperative multiplayer mode named Frontier Defense, which is actually Horde mode. It's just absolutely fantastic to just be with a couple of friends and just have those waves of AI-controlled robots, Titans, everything just being thrown at you, and then just defend the whole place. I can really highly recommend that to play that on an evening. It also added new maps for the game, including the remastered Rise map from the first game and Township, a map for both Pilot Fights Pilot and Live Fire modes. Those Pilot Fights Pilot is actually a bit of Call of Duty. Small, very small, dense maps. Now, I think that in the classical Call of Duty standard terms, you would call it the 3-lane small maps that Call of Duty was always known for. These maps are dense, small, and because of the fast-paced gunplay that Titanfall has, this really makes it a absolutely fantastic and stunning mode to play against other people, of course, across the globe or with your friends. Then you had Postcards from the Frontier, added a live fire map named Uma, 3 maps for the Frontier defense mode, Exoplanet, Dry Dock, and Angel City, as well as weapon cosmetics and war prints. Now, this was all free. There was nothing you paid for the base game, and then you would get this. Overall, the game as a reception from Metacritic on PC, PS4, and Xbox One was an 8.6, 8.9, and 8.7 respectively. So that's almost a 9 out of 10, and this game didn't got the attention it deserved. People played Infinite Warfare from Call of Duty and Battlefield 1, and rightfully so. I still play Battlefield 1. It's a fantastic game. But it's still a bit of a controversial decision to make it release between those 2 games, the 2 AAA titles. But there is no reason, because 2023, this game still holds up. Really, it holds up. If we need to pour out one piece of criticism, the single-player campaign is, for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it overall. And I think it's still one of the strongest campaigns I've seen. But it has a 5-hour length. And To be fair, that's also my criticism towards the Call of Duties nowadays. That's not much. It's pretty short, but overall, the single player campaign is enjoyable, a very enjoyable experience. So what makes Titanfall 2 then shine? I think first of all it's gameplay. It doesn't really matter if you choose combat, stealth, speed with grappling hooks. The overall experience is extremely satisfying, and the pilots that all have their own abilities like pulse, cloak, grapple, they all have their input to their way. The playstyle has an input that makes it constantly different in how you approach each game. And if you add up the level design, which for me is absolutely where Titanfall 2 shines the most, is that the map design is from a Champions League level that gives room for Titan to Titan fights, but also gives room for strong pilot versus pilot fights. It makes it extremely fast paced, and in this game, the wall running, which I generally hate in Call of Duty, makes perfect sense. It feels so freaking natural to jump onto a wall, run on it, jump off, grapple into something else in a tower, then walk against the wall to the other side, and then just charge into a Titan or a pilot. Whatever. And that satisfying moment is what Titanfall 2 actually make it shine. So my recommendation, guys, if you haven't played Titanfall 2, this is the moment. We're all waiting for Modern Warfare 3, rightfully so, but there is no reason not to play this game. Absolutely not. Titanfall 2 is my pick of the month, if you will. Go ahead. It's $4.99 in the PlayStation Store at this point, so it doesn't really hammer you down in your wallet. So just go to the PlayStation Store. I guess in the Xbox or Microsoft Store, it should be around and about the same price. So if you haven't bought it yet, the Titanfall 2 community is welcoming you. Movement 6 out.